Very well, thank you for being a part of us right here. This is Smart 24 TV. You're watching SMB. Smart means business that comes your way every weekday from 7 to 10 in the morning, and be a part of the show that is heavily going to drive business together. And speaking of that, right now we're going into our special reports, and from there we will be also highlighting or expecting a lot across the business continent or business highlights. Now we head on how the women are bound to be receiving economical, social, cultural improvements in their lives. Speaking of that, we speak about women in business, as even we look further or we look forward to celebrating the Women's Day that is scheduled for 8th March. Now, the Women in Self-Employment organization has embarked on the grassroots advocacy campaign for making sure that legal and policy reforms that are responsive of emerging issues affecting their success, their economic status and activities of self-employment in the informal sector are being addressed. Jemima Kasimbanzi, the Executive Director, Women in Self-Employed Organizations, notes that they will begin with the women group from Makerere Kavule in Kampala Central Division, at least to improve their lives around there. What do we expect from this one? Take a look and listen. We return.
Since government of Uganda imposed a lockdown in mid-March 2020 in response to the public health threat of the COVID-19 pandemic, the state of the economic paralysis has had severe negative impacts on the businesses and in the general operations in the informal sector, particularly for women and girls, leaving them feeding from hand to mouth.
Abakyala bokka abali mu t-shirt zino ne chairman ne Mukyala Kasimbazi, I will need you here.
The Women in Self-Employment organization has therefore embarked on grassroots advocacy campaign for legal and policy reforms that are responsive to the emerging issues affecting success of the economic activities of self-employed women in the informal sector in Uganda, beginning with women groups from Makerere Kavule in Kampala Central Division. Jemima Kasimbazi, the Executive Director, Women in Self-Employment Organization, WISE, notes that they are looking forward to empowering women and girls in Uganda to attain economic financial independence.
The specific objectives of our project today is to ensure that the laws and policies regulating the business and labor landscape in Makerere Kavule in Kampala recognize and protect self-employed women in informal sector and provides them with equitable opportunities to contribute and benefit from the local economy. The objective is to ensure that self-employed women in the informal sector in Makerere Kavule are accorded equitable participation in economic activities and improved access to business development information and services, as well as government economic recovery incentives. 3.
Bakubanga mumanyi ebyabakyala abami batulekerera nnyo omusente bwe tubukola ate n'akulowoleza nti gwogenda okugula kano gwogenda okugula kale abaana ne batuuka okuddayo ku ssomero nga batunuulidde ggwe omwami bw'alaba ng'okeera okugenda okukola ate nga tusaana okuyambibwako naye basuuliddeyo gwannaggamba kwegamba obuvunaanyizibwa ne butuyitirirako nga tetuyina buyambi bumala naye singa tuba tufunye omukisa nga guno tusobola okukola kyonna ekisoboka naffe ne tulabika nga tusituka nga bwe mutwagaliza. Ebizibu bye tufeesinga emisolo giba mingi giri waggulu nnyo. Omukyala agenda n'alaba nga emisolo ku kintu kyakola giyitiridde. Kati tugeze olabe nga sabbuuni kati ali ku siringi 7. Omukyala owa wansi ku nfuna yaffe oba tosobola ate ng'olina abaana omuti osobola okukozesa wiiki emu nga guweddewo naye ate okusinziira ku nfunayo n'ebizibu by'olina ng'olaba tekimala.
Reports indicate that women in informal trade have limited access to protection from the law in situations where their rights are infringed upon. They also do not have requisite corporate structure to qualify for private sector funding nor government bailouts.
Tuwandisa kati obutabo obugonza amateeka kubanga amateeka gawandiikibwa mu lulimi olusooka luzungu ate ekirala luli ligo luzibu kulw'omuntu olwa bulijjo. So twagala kati tugende tuvuunika amateeka gonna tugenda twagala okugezaako gagonjola biri muntu abeere ng'asobola okugakola.
Women in self-employment was as well challenged to have respect for their jobs and maintain high-level personal hygiene if they are to attract more customers.
For instance, omukyala atunda emmere waliwo gwe mbadde njogera naye enva zikuyikira tolina apron eno weesa omwana eminyira gikulukuta really ba customers tebajja kujja. So let us to respecting omulimu gwaffe to be trained into that. Obadde osiika ejjira oli ng'olisiikira ku sefuliya kati katule frying pan. Obadde okola chapati ng'ozikolera ku kimeeza oba ogenda waka okivuunika embwa nezanyirako ekiro gwe n'okivunula emisana n'okolirako chapati abantu ze bakola ki ze balya. So we need to keep you with the right training, the right mindset. Waliwo gaffe ewaffe mu family nedda byagaana nze ndimu nze nsobola okufuna emitwalo 10 tebigaananga maama era tebisobola gaana eyo ndowooza yonga ki ng'omuntu, but when you work hard and follow the right procedures we will get there.
Respect is a key requirement for a healthy work environment. It promotes productivity and efficiency in the workplace. It is evident that women and girls are ignorant about their human, social and legal rights and lack of resource to support their well-being. This situation, therefore, presents an opportunity to arrange for sensitization, training and skilling of women and girls to create awareness. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV.
Thank you, Pedson Mumbere. And just to highlight for you and what women were speaking around there, the first one was experiencing her concern on how irresponsibilities or men responsibilities are being piled up onto them, leaving them to cater for the families, providing for school fees, providing for children care. And also she highlighted about, if I quoting that, meaning that above soap at 7,000 now, and this could be hard for the local or for the lay maybe mother or individual around there in a women perspective who is bound actually to be living even under the dollar. So how far or how can they actually try to compete together, try to come up to standard even when the fares around the country are not really favoring them? But authorities there were answering, coming in, that it's never bound to file, just like some women a lot have complained around there. Complaints are coming in how they are tying it on their family backgrounds, highlighting that they are the ones who are at least taking care, they are the ones above deo family, like they are the ones living as an example, highlighting that it's hard for them and telling you that it's not hard, because as you continue to work hard, as you continue to make sure you put things together. And she highlighted, if I'm to quote her, saying that as long as you follow the right procedures, that means you're going to get there. So it's never too late. If you know the right procedures, if you're taking advice, if you're making sure you be a part of advocacies that are happening, empowerment that is ongoing, and as well as groups, more so on circles, how are you making sure you tap into that particular maybe platform of circles? Because we have seen circles helping a lot of women in regards to saving. It is true, yes, maybe a man may not really live every day for, may not live with you some money for each day or every day, but with the saving you do, maybe weekly, or that 1,000 you're able to get at the balance of what you have used at home, you inject it in that particular circle that you're investing it with the people you're around you, people working with, you are going to have change, including improving your lives. But they also highlighted one aspect of how, as a woman, you're taking care of yourself. How do you make sure you balance the equation of being a mother, of being at work, of being, around public, on how you conduct yourself? Number one, they highlighted about respect, respect, and also an issue to do with cleanliness and being organized. She said around when she interacted with a woman there who was cooking, and she realized food is all over her body, on her skin. I mean, you're not attracting customers to come and buy on your stall, but rather you're distancing away or distancing yourself away from customers. So make sure you be smart at your work, be clean at your work. Even when you're carrying a baby at the back, yes, there is no one to help you do that, but you can still, engage with that, even when you're clean, even when you're smart, even when you have a good tone. Sometimes we tend, or not only women, but we tend to carry on our frustrations to other people. Other people do not really care. They do not care whether you're frustrated. They do not care whether you've not eaten. All they want is what you can do at that particular time. So can you always reserve that inside of you and always display what you have to display to make sure you do that business right? And just to continue moving on, because we're celebrating, I can say this is still a women week as we head into the next week of celebrating them as the Women's Day. You have to know, or there is an advantage of making sure you're in that workspace or workforce of businesses, and that is the women in business. What advantages come along with that? Number one is diversity. You will realize that there is a gender diversity in regards to culture, in regards to age, and also the race. But here, if you are on those platforms, when you're, for example, stepping out from your home every day, going to interact with other people, you will realize, number one, age, race, maybe discrimination really do not matter, because you're coming to the space that is going to help your brain expand, that is going to help the way you think, that is going to help the way you do your things. Really, you get a diverse picture of the environment living around you. Whereas the woman, that local woman in the village, they're always staying at home, or every time looking at their children, how they are growing. Whenever they step out, when it comes to a long time and you're just stepping out, that means you're going to face a lot of challenge. You're going to see everything as new, whatever you see. So make sure at least in maybe a week or once, especially, you've got to work, by the way, because when you're working, that is when you're going to be at least diverse, have a perspective of what men are thinking, what your fellow women are thinking, what the youth, what the disadvantaged, because you are collaborating or conjoining together with a lot of people on the same workforce. Number two, the advantage of being in business as a woman is you will realize that women excel at soft skills, and that is the need for businesses. Yes, we attend school, we go to school, we have our children in school, we have maybe our sisters, our siblings in school, but what is the fate after that all, in case there is no job, or in case there is nothing after all? So that means that as we invest on a daily basis, as we grow up, as we think on what to do, can we make sure we integrate soft skills in our lives? And women, you're good at that. We're good at that. We're good at maybe using our hands, which is quite different for the other gender. Whereas there can be some reluctancy, but a woman can just, get something, weave, tie it, the soft skills that are easier learned. And the soft skills have proven in this generation to actually be at least the leading generator of an income for especially the people who have had maybe less education, the people who have attended less education, or you have stopped in primary, or you have not even attended school. But a skill is a skill. I mean, no one is going to take it away from you, as long as you know maybe to weave, as long as you know to do something with it. But an advantage is that when you're in business, you tend to add on research on it. And research does not necessarily mean that you have got to have a computer down, research about something, look out for what is A, B, C, D. Research, you can use your eyes. You can observe something with your eyes, your own sight, and that's observation. You can use it to do research. For example, you're weaving, you're doing hair, you're doing hairdressing, maybe you're whatever you're doing, you're weaving baskets, and you happen to go somewhere in the market or different areas you really trade from, and while there you're realizing, oh, this one is doing different colors, and you're trying to, so that niche of you trying to find out more of what is on the market and how they are doing it, that is research. You're using research by your brain, you're using research by your observation, and thereafter you're going to be different from how you've been doing things anyways. But there is also challenges coming up coming with for women doing business or women in business. You know, women are still, I can say, underrepresented in key fields, and here I'm trying to mean that well, a number of industries tend to take upon, you know, give advantages or call upon everyone. Sometimes the skills we go to, or sometimes the fields we go to extend our tools, to extend our niche as we work, they tend to show you it's an imbalanced kind of state, whereby, for example, you are a plumber, you've gone to school, because I have had, at least I'm near, in my village, you happen to neighbor technical school, and we realized that we're learning, there is a number of at least girls pursuing plumbering, pursuing electrification, you know, those so-called what society earlier had grouped it towards, you know, towards men entities. But these fields, women are now, you know, embracing them. But you happen now to go and seek for a job, for example, in an interview, and you are maybe just one lady there and over 6 gentlemen looking out for the same job. Even when you are qualified, maybe with even better than them, they will tend to consider fast, more quickly. It is just a judgmental, and this is a natural cause really. It's not even discrimination, it's not what, it's a natural cause. The first consideration is a look side. They will just consider the gentleman, okay, I think this one will be good for the job. But not until that organization displays of the opportunity, and you're given equal space, him, you, and him, and him, and them. And then they see really who is good at the work. You may get up the job, but if they are to just consider without, you know, being practical around there, you may not get it. So that is the diverse around there that is being unrepresented as key. And I don't want to mention the gender biases really here, but because I'm advocating for you to step up your niche, to step up every day and go do business with you. And with that said, maybe I can say, as I conclude on this one, there is also less successful when it comes to salary negotiations. So as a lady, meanwhile, as you're going to celebrate your International Day here, let me tell you something. When it comes to salary negotiation, how do you tap into such a space? How do you make sure you're fair to yourself, you're fair to your body, you're fair to the what you put on table? So you get into a room, they give you a job, you're taking it up, and they ask you, what do you expect? I mean, and people's answer is like, oh, what you give me is what I take. There is nothing like that. So as a woman, always step up, have courage when it comes to salary negotiations and also decision negotiations. Because if you do not say what really you've got to say, it's going to squeeze you at the back. It's going to put you in the corner at some point, and that will hurt you down in the end. It will limit your success or even how you do things at some point. And that said, we're going now to look at how embezzlement, how corruption, how misuse of money around the country is turning out to be an ideal, but government is not reluctant as well on this one, especially for the for people who tend to embezzle, who tend to be corrupt, who tend, you know, to swindle money and misuse of their office. We look at now the arrest of MULAGO hospital boss. Over 28 billion shillings is unaccounted for, according to HMU, that is the State House Health Monitoring Unit. Now, the State Health Monitoring Unit, led by Director Warren Namara, picked up Dr. Byarhang on Tuesday afternoon for allegations of mismanaging of the National Referral Hospital. And in a press briefing at around Uganda Media Center, Warren highlighted and revealed that the investigations was that by the Health Monitoring Unit. The Health Monitoring Unit of the State House, around 28 billion shillings was unaccounted for, and this meant that there was mismanagement or misappropriate fund of the National Referral Hospital in the last 4 years. Let us look at this reason of the cause, and we do return to discuss with you about this particular one.
In April 2021, Health Monitoring Unit conducted an investigative review of MULAGO Referral Hospital that focused on essential medicines and health supplies, human resource for health and finance, covering a period of the last 4 financial years. Dr. Warren Namara, ED Health Monitoring Unit for State House, revealed that CMI still detained MULAGO boss Dr. Batarana Byarugaba on the mismanagement of a government institution, hence loss of over 28 billion Ugandan shillings.
We interacted with 65 members of staff from MULAGO, 65. And we recorded statements, and we established that about 974 million was unaccounted for or misappropriated or otherwise unexplainably expended. In the process, the accounting officer failed to notify the Accountant General about missing vouchers totaling to about 5 billion. We have this, so you'll get it. You'll get the figures if they confuse a bit of it. That is on finances, but a little bit more will come. Now, on equipment and equipment repairs and maintenance, which involves autoclave, central sterilizing department, and etc. In 2016, MULAGO contracted 2 companies, Cetramaco International and Conventional World, for a wide range of services that you'll finally see in what we have given you. Now, our investigation about those companies have so far revealed, based on forged job cards, work completion certificates, duplicated activities. These 2 companies were paid by MULAGO 20 billion shillings, 20 billion plus shillings.
The investigating team also conducted verification of supplies allegedly procured from the First Pharmacy by the hospital. MULAGO Hospital had paid First Pharmacy a total of 1.4 billion Ugandan shillings as payments for medicines procured and supplied under emergency orders, presumably after running out on NMS supplied stocks.
The unit for burns in the different places, and we verified that the burns unit, which is located in Chirudu Hospital, that time it was still under MULAGO Hospital, established that only a small quantity of purported deliveries made by the First Pharmacy had been received. A very small quantity purportedly supplied by the First Pharmacy was received. Most of other delivery notes from First Pharmacy indicating deliveries have been made to the burns unit have since been denied by Kirudu Hospital. In other words, there were a number of delivery notes that were not generally acceptable by Kirudu, which was the consumer unit. Now, further to drugs, the MULAGO bulk or central store receives drugs. Now, during the verifications, it was established that funds worth 754 million, that's plus 754 million plus, were paid to First Pharmacy on an account. 14 different transactions between December 17 and 20 for untraceable supplies. In other words, 2017, 2019, 14 times 754 million, we could not trace what that money was for. Where the stores signed acknowledging receipt on the said deliveries and goods received notes generated, there is absolutely no record that the said items were entered into the respective stock cards and issued out to different departmental users. There's no trace at all. The investigative team also took note of the fact that most of the items indicated on the First Pharmacy delivery notes as having been supplied to the bulk stores were the same items as what National Medical Stores delivers to the hospital and dispenses to the public at no cost.
MULAGO Hospital Management, headed by the Executive Director, on the 7th of February 2018, entered into a 10-year memorandum of understanding and tenancy agreements with private pharmacies, Ecofarm, and First Pharmacy to operate within the hospital premises.
On scrutiny, on further analysis, the MOUs and the tenancy agreements between the two pharmacies were poorly conceived, poorly executed in our view, and without due diligence and clearance from the relevant government departments. The accounting officer of a public institution which is not autonomous has got a certain level of operation beyond which he can't commit government. The pharmacies are currently operating illegally without National Drug Authority licenses, so they are illegally existing. Due to these poorly executed memoranda of understanding and tenancy agreements, both the Eco Pharmacy and the First Pharmacy have defaulted on paying rent equivalent to 135 million on one of them and 67 million plus on another. This is 67,500 and 135 plus, so I'm not going into all that. I wonder, in our view, we think private pharmacies should not exist in public hospitals because you will never have the public get the drugs that we supply from the national medical stores.
The total uncounted and misappropriated funds at MULAGO Hospital during the period of investigation is so far 28,806,032,270 shillings, and it should be noted that the findings are preliminary per investigations, and once the investigations are complete, the suspects will be arraigned in the courts of law.
Thank you, Andrew, there. And what can I say? What can I add on to such allegation? Not even allegation, because it's anyway, investigations are still ongoing, and we will still consider or reconsider it a very clear one after the arrest or the arrested Byarhanga is held guilty or accountable around that area. But this is so absurd for the country because, I mean, the government tries to inject a lot of medication, inject a lot of facilities, of tools to make sure that citizens really tap into great maybe medication and health covers. But in the end, you see what is being reported, and this is not just a doctor or this is not just a nurse operating at MULAGO. is the one who takes it on, the overall boss around there. But we will be taking a break, but when we do return, I mean, your comment does really matter on these particular matters, because in the end it also helps implementers and also authorities maybe do better decisions, consider here and there, do considerations really on those particular matters. SMB continues after the break. Expect business tips, expect how the weather is going to be faring on as the day goes by. We return.